It depends. In certain parts it is. I think in the sort of the buying and selling side, the agenting side, and that kind of thing, that I wouldn't say it was ruthless. I'd say the competition was very, very keen.
Well, you've toyed with the idea of saying it's ruthless. How ruthless do you think you've got to be?
Not very. It may even be a fault of mine in the business that I'm not ruthless enough.
Do you feel that you exploit teenage talent?
No. Talent? No. You can. I think I develop teenage talent rather than exploit it.
Well, what about teenage emotion? Does the business exploit teenage emotion, do you think?
No, because you don't make a record and set out to sort of make scenes in theatres. This just happens. Nobody, actually the artists and perhaps the manager, in my case anyway, you don't really think about what is happening in a theatre in that it's unhealthy, because you never think of it as being unhealthy. You think of it as being good. And if I know it sounds funny, but if there are a lot of screams in a theatre and so on, and there's an enormous amount of noise going on, well, you think it was good tonight. You know, it was a great show.
Because your people are so young, do you think that we could accuse you of exercising excessive control over them?
I don't think that it is true that I exercise undue pressure. And actually, I've been very fortunate in the case of every artist. They have bettered themselves as a result of having signed such an agreement. I'm not going to say that I would do it for everyone, but it's turned out well in all cases.
But when you signed and launched the Beatles, did you know, for example, or suspect that they might gross, as we believe they have, 5 million in 12 months?
I wouldn't have said that because I didn't think in terms of money, really. But I would have said that they would have been one of the biggest, if not the biggest, theatrical attraction in the world.
Have you thought out a future for them? Is it getting the big money quick while this fervour lasts for them, or have you a planned future for them?
If you basically try to get the big money quick, I think you're absolutely wrong. I look at things and judge things without the money initially in mind. The money is a part and an important part, but it's not basically and initially the most important factor.
And now to meet our first challenger. Will you enter and sign in, please? Mr. X. Well, needless to say, the panel will realize that we have said Mr. X for good and sufficient reason. I don't think we'll give them any more information. May I just present the panel, Mr. X, and will you join me over here? And we'll let the audience at home and the audience in the theater know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, we can tell you that Mr. X is salaried and deals in a service. And we'll begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Mr. X, do you have anything whatsoever to do with the entertainment world?
Yes.
Are you yourself a performer, Mr. X?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Anker.
I think I'll drop out. I think I know the gentleman.
All right. We thought that might happen, Paul. You'll disqualify yourself. And Miss Kilgallen?
Mr. Daly, doctor, sir, did you tell us where Mr. X was from?
No, we decided we wouldn't because we felt that we wouldn't give you any information tonight just to sharpen the taste of things a bit.
All right. You are connected with entertainment, but you are not a performer. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Would you like to say Mary Had a Little Lamb for me? No.
Yes.
Do.
Mary had a little lamb.
There you go. Now you know who it is, don't you?
No, certainly.
He's the little lamb that Mary had.
Mr. X, do you travel under a passport other than a United States passport?
Yes.
Is it some type of British passport?
Yes.
Is it United Kingdom?
Yes.
Are you any type of booker or impresario?
Yes.
Did you book Paul Anka's tour?
No.
No, that's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Sir.
What, Mr. X, did you have any association whatever with a very successful group of young men called the Beatles?
I quit. Mr. Barry Ebstein, who is actually the
Impresario for the Beatles.
impresario, but more than that, the discoverer of the Beatles. Brought them
The
first.
putter-togetherer.
The creator.
The creator of them. It's an interesting story, which actually I probably shouldn't tell because you have a book coming out rather soon, I think, that tells the story of
Are there any moments, Mr. Epstein, when you feel a little sorry about the whole thing?
I don't think so, Bennett. As they might say here, I would think that Brian would very probably laugh all the way to the bank if he had any moments like that.
They're such darlings. They are so
They're
sweet and funny and cute.
So there aren't any sorry moments now.
Yeah. But it's an interesting story. Actually, Mr. Epstein has got a book, A Cellar Full of Noise, which I think is a fine title for it. I don't want you to think that is any more than just an expression of an interesting title. But he was in Liverpool. You were directing a record shop.
That's right, yeah.
And somebody came in one day and asked for a record by this group he'd never heard of, and he was one of those who believes the customer is always right and should get some service, so he started inquiring about the group, found out they were in Liverpool, went down to a cellar, the cavern, right?
Yeah.
And there he found the Beatles, and of course the story from that point on is known to almost everybody, except that he tells it in a very personal way. I'm sorry that we didn't do better than we did,
No, we didn't.
Brian, but there we are. Mr. Anka disqualified himself, and we expected that, but I didn't think the others would move as quickly as they did. Nice to have you visiting us in the United States, and congratulations on your remarkable success. Good night. Well, you're off to a smashing start, panel. Let's see what we can do with the second challenger. Would you enter and sign in, please?